everybody. Welcome to the Performance Zone. I'm your host, Clay Banks, and we're glad that you're with us. The Performance Zone is an interview format show that we do on a somewhat fortnight basis, where we bring you different industry pros, experts, people that are working in the entertainment industry to kind of drill in and find out a little bit more about what makes them tick so that we can bring out all of the magnificent so that you can benefit from that. So I want to thank you for tuning in. The show is brought to you by Clay Banks Studio and claybanksstudio.com. And we want to welcome you to this 1-hour live show, which will also be broadcast later if you want to share with your friends and your family. This week I'm really excited because I have a special unannounced guest who's come in at the last moment, and we went, what the heck, let's go ahead and fire up the cameras, bring her into the studio, and let's find out what she's all about. Krista Meadows is my guest, and she's somebody that I've known for several years, and we've worked together in the entertainment capacity. We're going to unfold and unpack all of that and find out a little bit more about Krista and what makes her tick. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome you, Krista.
It is great to be here and great to see you. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
It's an honor to be asked on this program.
Well, look at that.
I'm excited.
You're here.
Yes, I am here.
Yeah, the Performance Zone started several years ago. We've done about 100 episodes in our old format. We didn't really push it out. I don't believe we were doing Facebook at the time. And but it was a great show, and then it shut down because we moved on to other things. And when we got into this new studio, we're like, let's ramp it back up. So it took us months to get the equipment where it needed to be, put everything where it is. So you're actually our third guest on the Performance Zone reboot.
Wonderful.
So you're guest number 3.
This is a great idea too. I absolutely love this concept.
Cool.
Yeah, knowledge is power.
So we want to find out a little bit about you. I've kind of touted you somewhat about just being a multi-talent and musician slash, fill in the slash? What would you say?
Actress, singer, composer, yeah.
Yeah.
Terrible bowler. That's not, I'm not good at that.
I wouldn't know, but
Yeah.
I do know about the others.
Yeah.
Especially the musician side of you.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'd like to do is just kind of introduce you a little bit to the audience through how I found out about your musical talent.
Okay.
And it's back when we were working for the Action House production team, and we were doing projects for Action House, and I was the director, and they had asked me to do a documentary on a concept I knew nothing about called the Azusa Street Revival. And they was like, this is the next project, cover the Azusa Street Revival. And I'm like, what's that?
Right.
And so I got a research team together, and we were completely outfitted over there. We had everything, editing, shooting, we had marketing, promotion, art, layout. I mean, we had it all. We had a grant writer to finance our projects. I mean, that was
Illustrator.
Awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes, we had it all. And so we do this documentary, and you were you were hanging around, and you were trying to get work with us, or
Just want to do anything I
you
could do to be helpful.
And so I think
Obsessed.
I brought you on as my assistant to help me, and I asked you to do some clerical work, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is not working. I'm going, what is up with this girl? She's not getting this done.
Just because I got your coffee wrong twice doesn't mean I'm not cut out for it.
It honestly, it just was not the deal for you. And it was
at the time.
And I remember we went, okay, so we had gotten to the point where we had finished. We'd worked on this for just about a year at this point, and we needed to score it. And I was going, okay, we need to start thinking about a composer now. And we were in this meeting talking about how are we going to compose it, who are we going to get to compose it, what's this going to sound like, la 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 la. And then it was like my vision was you were just kind of going, well, I could help.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You can. What do you mean you can help? You can't get my coffee.
Can't even get my coffee. What do you mean you're going to score something?
And the funniest thing about it was that I was just at that point where I was like, we need to get this thing scored. And all right, let me see what you can do. Go ahead and do it.
Right. I do remember in a way, I pretty much told you, look, all you have to do is show me a clip, tell me exactly the mood that you want, and just let me play to it and see what you think. Take a chance on me.
So here's the chance that I took, and this was
That's a big chance.
This was
too.
really crazy because now I'm just ripped for I don't know, at this point, 10 months working nonstop around the clock. I was emaciated. We had a hard deadline because we had to debut this at the LA Convention Center on April 21st, 2006. I will not forget that date.
April 21st.
Because it was like there was tens upon hundreds of thousands of people coming in for this event, and we were the premiere movie, and it was like we weren't moving that deadline, and so that was crazy. So I was like, okay, I remember calling up an engineer that I knew, and his name was Richard.
Was it Richard?
Well, we worked with two guys, but he was the first guy. And I called the engineer and I said, Richard, give Krista 2 hours in the studio, 2 or 4 hours, something.
See what she can do.
I said, I'm just going to budget her for 2 or 4 hours in the studio. Get in there. Here's the copy of what we have on the rough cuts. Go ahead and just do a song or two. Let me hear what you got. And that was it. And I went on and you went on, right?
Yeah.
All I remember next, and you can fill in the blank, all I can remember next was you were gone all day. It was like 8 or 10 hours later or something. Do you remember? And you said, we did it. And I'm like, what do you mean you did it? I told you 2 hours.
You mean the entire film?
Yeah, it's like, I'm losing my mind because I'm going, how much money did I just spend on testing you?
Right.
And I'm freaking losing it. I mean, this was crazy. I was like, I wanted to kill you.
You're welcome.
I know, really. And so this is so. And then you came back and you had scored the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, what? And then you gave it to me and I was like, whatever, and that was it. I still wanted to kill you. And then,
in all fairness, looking back, I do remember now. It was the constant feeding of the pretzels that have the peanut butter inside of them that the man at the studio kept feeding me to keep me around.
It was the peanut butter. We
Absolutely.
were living on peanut butter and green tea.
Right? Green tea and those peanut butter, and terrible coffee.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
And so that's that. I mean, dealing with all the frustrations of post and edit and all the stuff we had to deal with. And then it was like I'm driving home from the production offices. It was like 3:30 in the morning. And I threw in the CD.
Finally decided to listen to it.
I threw the CD into my truck CD player. And now I'm in the warehouse in downtown, I'm living in the Arts Warehouse District. I'm downtown. And I throw the CD on the ride back to go, oh gosh, what did I just buy for how much money did I just spend? And I started listening to the music.
Yeah.
And it was haunting. It was so stinking good. I couldn't believe what I was listening to. And I remember pulling up in front of the warehouse where I lived, 3:30 in the morning. It's that eerie kind of magical time, you know, and I'm in my truck, engine off, sitting there listening to the tracks that you laid down, and tears started coming down my face.
Wow.
And I was having this crazy, crazy falling in love with you from hating you experience. And I remember texting you because I couldn't help it. I took out my phone and and this was in 2006. You know, it's like, sorry, text her. I mean, this is, you know, this is different. And I remember writing you at 3:30 in the morning, oh my gosh.
I do remember that.
I'm listening to this. This is amazing. This is fantastic. I'm having an emotional breakdown right now listening to this soundtrack.
Yeah.
That was my experience with that.
Yeah, I do remember that text now.
What happened with you when I cut you loose with the engineer? What happened?
I think aside from the fear factor of wanting so badly to prove myself, being given an opportunity, you know, by someone that I respected, looked up to, and admired, yourself, I knew that I didn't want to blow that opportunity because I didn't know when something like that would come along. I was very young. I was at the time in my early 20s or so.
2006.
Yeah, and
2005. No, I was 6 at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2006.
So being a not only that young but female, people wouldn't normally look at me and think, oh, she can compose anything. And there wasn't much of a foot in the door that I had with anything. When I went into that studio, I believe I did sit down. I just wanted everything to be done right, and I knew I could do every mood and every scene. There were a couple that I had to write on the spot because there were some scenes, turn of the century scenes, for instance.
You scored every scene in the whole movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, except for the two that you came in and played,
Well, I played,
and
yeah,
I just said, hey, we
yeah.
need a song that does this.
The harmonica.
And yeah.
I did the harmonica on a
Yeah.
couple songs. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I had already had 2 or 3 songs in my mind from prior compositions that I felt would fit perfectly with some of those scenes. So I did have 2 or 3 in mind already composed that I went ahead and put into it. Other than that, yeah. But I honestly do look back and I really think he kept me there.
Oh, it was his fault.
Yeah, I think it was more so. And I'm sitting here thinking, is it okay? I'm still here. It's, oh, yeah, everything's
Oh,
fine.
sure,
You know,
he's getting
sure,
paid by the
getting
hour,
paid.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
I had no idea. That's funny. But there
Oh,
were
man.
some amazing moments from that where, you know, I had him set the mood, turn all the lights down, and so I could just really get into the mood and sit there and play. And I think at one point, you had come by and I remember us recording a few things over and I felt like I heard angelic voices just kind of interjecting into those moments. We had a lot of interesting spiritual moments with those songs. But yeah, not much was going on other than I wanted so badly to just show you and anyone what was inside of me that no one was giving me a voice or opportunity.
Well, you want to credit that to exhaustion because I was like, sure.
That's what I do. I break them down and then I show them.
Let's let the assistant kid in the corner
Exactly.
over there take
This
a
girl.
shot at scoring this movie I just poured my life into
What
for
a
a year.
chance. What a chance you took.
Well, it was supposed to be 2 hours, and I was going to
Yeah.
go, okay, great, no, and move
Yeah,
on.
kind of like, hey, here's a backup plan while we're
Yeah.
searching for someone else, and it
And
worked.
you know, and seriously, we didn't even have to go back and it was like it wasn't even a test. That was the track.
Yeah.
You laid it down the first
yeah,
time.
yeah,
And it just fit in. And I remember then we went to another guy, Gerald, and he's the guy who mastered the entire thing. And he's like, okay, what do you got? What do you got? And he didn't think we had a movie. And we go into this guy's engineering booth. And over at the Jim Henson, the old Jim Henson Studios,
yep.
remember that? Okay, and we're in there, and he's going, dude, you got a movie here. I said, yeah, no kidding. And he put it and dialed that whole thing in. It was like, wow. And it just worked.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I can't believe you did take that chance on.
I did, and it was one of the
Little
greatest
kid.
chances I took because
So grateful.
I was fighting against my producer, Jesse.
Oh, really?
I said, Jesse, I said, I want to do a soundtrack separate from the actual movie.
That's
and she's
right.
going, there's no way, we're barely getting this movie out.
Right.
And she wanted nothing to do with it. I said, Jesse, the music's good enough. It needs to be a CD. This was back in the CD days. It needs to be a CD. And she goes, Clay, no. And you know Jesse.
Right.
She said, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Jesse, I'm going to do it with my own money, and I'm going to do this because I believe in this CD, right? So we make the CD on top of the movie, right? And then it goes out, and so
The soundtrack.
And so to
Yep.
this day, Jesse continues to apologize to me because the soundtrack outsells the movie.
Yay!
And you did that.
Yay!
That was you.
That's great.
Yeah. And the
yep.
movie and the soundtrack
Yeah.
have been selling nonstop every month since 2006.
That's a record. It really is. If you think about it,
Do the
only
math.
thing I can think of that's done that is the Bible itself.
I don't know. I think Stairway to Heaven might be in
Probably,
there somewhere,
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
But seriously, I mean, think
Yeah.
2006. Think how many years we've been selling
Wow.
that CD.
Wow.
And I know I had to buy you out, so I get the royalties, you don't, but that's showbiz.
Congratulations.
You know, yeah. Hey, I paid you a good check.
No, it's okay. I always wanted to contribute to taking care of your well-being somehow,
Yeah.
and hopefully I'll just continue. And then
So really, and I want to thank you again because, and I love telling that story because just as an empowerment coach, the lesson,
yeah,
and I've told that story over the years. The lesson is it has to do with gifts.
yeah,
That we can see somebody that if they're a square and we're trying to put them into a round and it doesn't fit, we tend to devalue the square.
yeah,
And you go, no, the square fits in the square, and the round fits in the round, the star fits in the star, and the diamond fits in the diamond.
Right.
And it's about finding out where our gifts are
Yeah.
and where we shine. So like for you, as my assistant in that capacity, it was just, I was like,
yeah,
this girl's incompetent. She can't do anything. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, this girl's a genius. Why? Because you were functioning in your gift.
yeah. It is an amazing life lesson for all people that you limit people with your ideas about them. You know, because perhaps they aren't a star fitting into a star-shaped hole at all, and they're not a square fitting into a square hole, but they're complete liquid, so there's no hole to fill. You just simply flow through it, you know? And people always have their ideas, and it really limits. It limits our connection with human beings. Everyone has something to offer, and we have something to learn from everyone. It doesn't matter if he's a king or someone cleaning the streets, you know?
You know, it's hard to interview for me for a job because when people are coming in for a job, they want to know what they're supposed to do. And I usually will say, well, listen, I like you and we need some help, but I want to bring you in and see where you fit best. Because, you know, like with the past 2 assistants that I've had, they actually didn't work as well as personal assistants as they did in other capacities.
Yeah.
And so like Melanie, who was just here, is now really Lauren's assistant because it just works better that way, you know? And so it's like, where are you going to work best? And, and that was just so spot on with you. And just since then, just, you know, just as a musical talent, it's just a whole nother deal.
Yeah.
So
I like the quote, "The be comes before the do." And I really see it as falling into that same concept, you know, the be comes before the do. People are always worried about, well, what am I going to do and how am I going to go about doing this? Well, no, think about who you are, how you conduct yourself. The position will create itself. The path will create itself as long as you're staying true to your core, in my opinion.
So tell us, well, before we move on, by the way, it's the CD soundtrack is called Songs of Azusa.
Songs of Azusa.
And if you do a search for Songs of Azusa, AZUSA, and it's the companion to the movie, The Azusa Street Project, which is about a revival that took place in downtown Los Angeles in 1906. Pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Because I don't think either one, did you know anything about it before we went in?
No, not much.
I don't think any of us did.
Yeah.
It was like, here. Go.
I had heard the words Azusa Street revival thrown around in different churches or different groups and settings, but never the history behind it or what it all entailed. Yeah.
It was wild, though. It was a wild revival that took place back then. It was fascinating to be able to do a movie on it.
They didn't have social media.
Yeah,
so a lot of cool things were happening back then.
Yeah. Fire! But you know, it's a successful movie, a successful soundtrack, and there it is. Let's jump forward and talk about you've got a show in Vegas now.
I do.
You're in Vegas. What's going on?
I'm in Las Vegas. Who knew?
Yeah.
It's been quite a journey, but I've only been there a few months, and I'm very fortunate. A lot of people move to Las Vegas or a city looking for work.
Right.
And I was fortunate enough to be handed some great opportunities and therefore had to relocate to Las Vegas. So currently, I have a duo, the wonderful female, she's phenomenal, by the name of Cassie Stone. She sings for Cirque du Soleil, has an extensive background. She's Canadian, French-Canadian, amazing woman. So she and I have a duo called Our Majesty. And it's fun. We have a lot of fun with that. We do different casinos, and we were having our own show Wednesday nights at Sterling Club. And also at Sterling Club, I play piano in their beautiful brunch lounge on Sundays. So that's just me singing and playing while people enjoy some of the best food in Las Vegas. And then Thursday nights, a full band over at Red Rocks Casino, and with an all-female rock group, tribute group. It's the only all-female tribute group that sings all-female written music or female performed music. I think it's the only one of its kind even in the country. I'm not sure if anyone else is doing it. Red Rock Casino's Thursday night, so it's called Every Woman Band. So while I'm out there playing with all these things, I'm kind of seeing what other opportunities might be around the corner, and my heart is to eventually go back to original music, still singing, songwriting material, and composing, especially composing.
So what would you, what do you play there, and what would you say your sound is?
Interesting. I play piano and guitar and do some percussion.
What songs are you playing? Originals or covers?
All of these out in Vegas are covers, and that's a whole other subject on its own. Right. But I forgot what your second question was.
What's your sound? What's your vibe?
Right. Well, doing covers, it's all over the place. Me personally, there's kind of a Grace Potter-esque rock, gritty thing mixed with Adele, with the romantic. But mixed with Lady Gaga, throw in some blues, and neo soul. So it's just, I would say it's very soulful, bluesy, and I'm starting to experiment a little more with some dance trance type music. So
Dance?
yeah,
Trance.
yeah, I really like bringing in a natural feel with the song. You look surprised by that. Don't tell me you're never at the at the dance.
I'm waiting to pick up on what that
Right.
vibe actually is.
It's usually a consistent beat that has like a real intense drop beat that makes people just want to kind of get moving first of all, you know, and then mixing in the vocals and orchestral, just something beautiful on top of that, and kind of mixing that vibe together.
Can you
Yeah.
Can you beatbox it?
Oh my gosh, maybe.
Let's hear it.
All I can do. I don't know.
All right, there you go.
No, but there's a artist by the name of Morchiba, and that's one of my favorites. And she is real. They kind of do this like soulful, dark trance music, and her voice on top of that is just very. I don't know how to say it. Organic, you know. So it's kind of like I want to marry a technical sound with a very tribal sound. You know, I want to get those two together where Earth meets robots. I don't know.
You know, they'll hold that because, like, in our studio, I nicknamed the studio the Creative Tundra because my driving heart, I'm in disguise as an acting coach.
Yeah.
But I'm an empowerment coach of empowering people's creativity. That's what just really, I mean, if you cut me open, that's at the core of me. I really just love getting to the core of people's magnificence because I believe we all have the ability to create, and it gets buried and dried up like a raisin in so many people.
Absolutely.
And so in the studio, there's in any given month, the things that go on in the studio are mind-blowing.
Yeah.
You know, from your scenes and of the obvious given of what we do in an acting studio and monologue performances and that, but we shoot films, we do music videos, we do musical talent. I mean, dance, painting, everything.
Yeah.
And a couple of weeks ago, I was in here with a blues veteran, a blues veteran, and he really wants to help. I play the blues harmonica, that's my instrument, but I'm not technically trained. I just jam and have a good time.
Right.
And
which is the original blues, but continue.
But he's teaching me technicalities, which is cool. And we were in here a couple of weeks ago. We were in here, and it's after everything's down. I mean, it's when you play, right?
Yeah.
And we got in here, and for one thing led to another, because you're like, Alexa, play this song, play that song, and then we're pulling out different things, and we're doing different riffs, and somehow we got on a Weemaway.
Interesting.
You know Weemaway?
Yeah.
Well, wow. We studied this song on how it went back to its roots, and it began in Africa. With this tribal sound, and it went through the two tones. I'm not getting it right, but it ended up with what we know, you know, the whole Lion Sleeps Tonight thing, and what Disney did with it, and all the transformations. But it started with this very primitive, primal sound from like Africa. These guys went in and just with microphones and recorded these tribal sounds, and it wound up becoming this massive hit, a Weemaway.
There you go.
You know?
Yeah. It all ties in. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And the origins of all things. And you think about native tribes, and they just hit that one beat over and over and over and over and celebrate to it, and it would just, you know, rise them up. And that's the same thing with EDM or dance trance music nowadays. It's that one beat that's over and over and over and over. And I want to bring back, you know, the origins of that outside of just the technology behind it now.
Are you doing this with synthesizers? What instruments are you doing this with?
I have a new synthesizer at home I'm experimenting with, but honestly, I'm just experimenting with GarageBand and just different sounds here and there, and a lot of it hasn't been created much yet.
So you're exploring.
I'm exploring, yeah. And anything that's in my mind or that comes to my mind, I automatically lay down and record somehow so I don't forget it and come back to it. Because right now, the meat market industry of churning out, doing other people's music seems to take up 90% of the time of anyone's creative energy or anything.
But the cool thing is like your day job, your bread and butter is your music.
Yeah.
So you're actually in the genre.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, definitely. I'm finding a balance now of not disrespecting my own core. I don't know how much longer I'm going to keep going. Everything is changing so much right now, no matter where you're going, what you're doing. People don't really pay much attention to the live music. If they hear something familiar, that's great, you know, whatever. But they say no one really knows what they want. Business owners are telling people, we want something upbeat, and we want to draw in a younger crowd, and we want you to do this and that, and it doesn't work. So they try to finish.
What do you mean by business owners?
Different venue owners.
Oh, I got it.
You're always getting instructions. Yeah, as a full-time musician. Hey, we're thinking we want you to do this type of style, this genre, and we want dance music. We want people to get up and dance. I have to tell everyone, in the several years that I have been doing this, cruise ships, Vegas, Los Angeles, New York, Missouri, wherever, people don't actually want to just get up and dance. I don't know where this concept is coming from.
Stop.
They don't.
They don't
Once in a
dance.
great while on cruise ships, you know, after they've had a few drinks, they will, and it's fun and it's a good time and everything. But when you're on land and you're at different venues or restaurants or whatever, and people have in mind, oh, we want people up and dancing, and they look at their crowd, oh, we want to draw in a younger crowd. Do they have any money? You know, why are you catering to people in their 20s when everyone that's coming through your door is of a different generation and they like the classic music and they like different things? So I don't know. People don't really know what anyone wants anymore. It seems like it's just kind of all up in the air. In my opinion, I think that artists are going to rise up within the next 3 to 5 years and create a whole new music revolution to where people hear something new and realize that is what they've been missing and that is what they want. They have to be told what and reminded how to feel and what they wanted.
So let me just let me just roll with that.
You're the music revolution.
You're as a muso, because you've been doing music. I mean, I guess it was since I last saw you when we had with that project. I mean, then I remember you going to Missouri. And then you
Branson,
you
another
did
entertainment
the Branson
town.
Thing, the wannabe Vegas, right?
Yeah,
For old people. Well,
yeah.
Vegas.
Well, they're not trying to be Vegas.
They're not?
But no, I don't think so.
know much about Branson.
They're relearning themselves as well. So
Okay. But
it's an entertainment capital of the Midwest.
A mini Vegas isn't a fair call for
I guess
Branson?
it is. Yeah, you take out all the gambling.
Oh, there's no gambling.
There's no
so
gambling
it's all
there.
music.
Exactly. It's music, and now it's family fun. So there's a lot of theme parks and different things that are going in there now, and beautiful nature, fishing, you know, things like that.
Okay, and then you did some work in I mean, over the years. I mean, we lost track of each other for a while, and then I would catch glimpses of you. You were with different bands. You were in New York. What kind of take us? It's all been music, right?
Mainly music. And in New York, honestly, I took that period of time as soaking in and learning, and all I did was just see shows and connect with people out there, and soaked in what it felt like that I was missing or what I was learning from different people. One of the people that changed my life was Carrie Fisher. I got to see her live one-woman act on Broadway, Wishful Drinking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and she was a person who spoke to the audience as though it's one person, but I was soaking in all of these shows and different people, and that was a learning period. I was only there for maybe 9-10 months. And just seeing show after show after show and not getting involved with any bands or anything, but just writing my own music and just kind of hiding myself, and then emerged out of there with all new music.
So back to the clubs not knowing what they want.
Yeah.
You now have your own club, and it's a musical venue. And you've got to bring people in. You got to keep them there. You want to do business.
Right.
What are you going to do? What are you going to play?
Right. With which club? The Red Rock Casino, for instance, that's the one where the full band, they want
But this
people.
is your club. You get to do.
Oh, I
own
see.
it.
You're creating a scenario for me. Okay, now I'm following.
So this is the Krista Club, Club Krista.
I think what I would do is find out from the community first who's surrounding there. I do a lot of research and see. I would let the people speak and tell me what it is they feel is missing and what they would want. I would check in with the artists that are nearby and see what original artists are there, what they have to offer, and I would definitely kind of theme the entire environment around what their original music would feel like for that night. Because a lot of people, they come out, I mean, Josh Groban, for instance, he's selling out, theaters still. And that's a classy, beautiful, romantic type of music. And there are just so many people that have that classiness and just this feeling and emotion of music that they're writing, and the atmosphere doesn't fit it at all. People walk through the door, I would have everyone silence their cell phones and pretty much tell everyone in a sign out front that if they have a phone call, take it outside. You can't speak on your phone inside. Just little things like that where they would be obvious to them that they are there to see live music, and that's what they are there for, and that there's a reverence involved in that. So there's a lot of layers. I don't know quite how to answer it.
No, I think
real
you're
simple,
great.
yeah. But it would take me knowing my community and really getting to know them.
I would love to be able to expose this to you, but it only happens one Saturday a month before the full moon.
What?
It's a musical experience that happens underground.
Oh, wow.
And it only happens the Saturday before the first full moon of the month. It's the only time it happens. And this is a musical experience like nothing I've seen before. And I got turned on to it from a friend of mine. And it's underground. And you go in there, and there's a band in there. They're called We Are the West. And they are in an underground garage. And they get it once a month before the full moon, and it is something I have never experienced
Sounds pretty
before. Oh,
amazing.
it's mind-blowing. I actually had a team leaders meeting, whatever team building meeting with my staff.
Yeah.
And we would do different things. And this year, that year, we took the whole front row, and everybody's minds were just blown.
Wow.
These guys do things with music and fusion entertainment. It's you can't really even describe it. But they have one song that they do. It's kind of a gimmick song, but I dig it. What they do is they say, okay, everybody take out your cell phones and call the person next to you. And the person next to you, find a partner, answer. So now everybody is connected. And then somehow they vibe the frequency and now you are playing with that song. Everybody in the room is all hooked into the music, and we're all part of the sound.
That's incredible.
It's mind-blowing.
That is really neat.
It's
I like
absolutely
that.
mind-blowing. If we can ever get you out here on
Oh,
a Saturday
absolutely.
before the full moon.
Yeah.
When's the next full moon?
When is the next full
Is it
moon?
this Saturday? Can you hang on?
Yeah, right. No. I think we just had a full moon.
I missed it. I'm always
wait
like,
another.
oh, there's the moon. Wait,
Right.
am I available Saturday? And I try to run down there and catch them. It's really a trip. But it's kind of what you're saying is triggering that and that kind of.
I'm so glad to hear that that's happening.
Oh.
Yeah, that's refreshing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I put it on your calendar.
I will.
Figure out. Just say, Clay. There's a full moon coming in 2 Saturdays, whatever month that is. I'm going to come out.
But Clay's Twilight concert.
Whatever, and we'll go check them out.
Okay.
And those of you guys that are watching, they're called We Are the West. Find them. They're underground.
Wow.
It will blow your mind.
Wow. Sometimes, though, it's been a long time that I've been able to go into something and just kind of soak in and allow myself to really enjoy and love it. Wonderful.
This would be it. Figure it out.
Okay.
Figure it out.
I'll figure
make it
out.
work. Come
I'm only
out
a few
here,
hours away in Vegas.
and that's it.
I can
we'll
do that.
it. And I'm telling you, it'll stick with you. It will blow you away. You would be somebody who would appreciate it.
Very cool.
I'm bringing on a musical guest a few shows from now. I'm not sure where. He's kind of a little bit of a legend and a celebrity in the heavy metal world.
Nice.
Yeah, his name's Eli Santana. And he can rip like nobody's business. I mean, this guy just rips. He's amazing, and he's a terrific guy. And he's dealing with he's like this guy in this world, but he wants to just act, So he's been with me for years, and he's doing such a great job. He was on Westworld for, I think, season 2. He did a lot of work on it. And it's the same type of deal, trying to figure out how can his day job is he's sponsored by a guitar company. I mean, that's his day job is that, but he really wants to act. You know, that's his thing. You know, but I talked to him about that, and we're going to do, when we can line up our schedules, we're going to go down there. I'm going to bring him and check it out.
Oh, I have to see that.
It's pretty.
That's
pretty
great.
intense.
I'm getting a little more and more into. I love metal, but now I'm in a new relationship. Wonderful person, wonderful human being, wonderful musician as well.
Oh, really?
And he's really into metal, and he's able to write all of those intricate parts, and it just blows my mind. And I'm listening to these things, and it's taking me off in directions I didn't even know I could go, and that kind of thing. And so I'm being more and more exposed to a lot of different types of metal music, and I have to agree, it interprets a part of me that I'm not quite able to speak on my own, and it speaks for me, you know? And that's, I love it. Huge fan.
You'll have to tune in.
I have to hear him.
I'll share this with Eli if he's not watching. He's in Japan on tour right now as we speak.
Nice.
He's doing 2 weeks. He's, Coach,
Yeah.
you got to leave acting for 2 weeks. I got to go do this tour in Japan. So
He gets to act like he's a musician in Japan then.
So he's there doing that, and so, but he might watch this, and you'll have to watch his.
Wonderful.
So when we mix it up here on the
Absolutely.
Performance Zone, you never know what you're going to get.
Nope. Outside the box.
What I want to talk to you about is because we have a lot of actors that tune in to this show, and musicians and dancers and singers and people that want to capitalize on their art.
Yeah.
Now you've managed to do that. Do you want to talk about how that opened up for you?
I believe with all my heart. I honestly believe in this advice. This has guided my life. If you stay true to connecting with individuals in the creative industry that you are wanting to be in, if you stay true to connecting with good hearts, kindred spirits, good people, and it opens more and more doors, and you commit and stay loyal to loyal people, is, you know, throughout the industry, and even in the creative or not creative world, it's full of wolves, you know, wolves in sheep's clothing. And I can honestly say that there have been so many opportunities thrown my way, but it was by pretty rotten people that I just couldn't bring myself to connect to that spirit or connect with that type of thing. No, I'm not Lady Gaga, and I'm not out there super famous or anything, but I am living a lifestyle, and have been for a long time, making a living doing creative things full time. And a lot of people, that is all we want. And it's great, and it's profitable, and I'm very fortunate. But I would say if they stay connected to those types of people and allow that spirit, that type of spirit, to guide their choices and guide who they allow into their circle and into their world, and just stay on that path. And it's almost like following a light at the end of the tunnel, you know. Anyone that comes along, even if it's to do with money or this and that, but you don't respect their integrity, or they have no integrity, you don't respect how they're operating, stay away. Just stay away from it, because it's going to lead to something destructive and lead to something that makes you feel ugly inside that you don't agree with yourself about. And if you don't have agreements with yourself, you can't look at yourself in the mirror and feel proud of who you are, then it's not going to work out in the end anyway. So, and if it does, you're going to be miserable even if you have everything. So if I could say anything to anyone, it would be stay loyal to the good hearts in the industry.
So what I'm hearing is just say no.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Learn when to say no. When you have that check in your spirit and you're saying, oh, I really want to, but that person, I saw how they were treating so-and-so, I saw how they were treating, just don't do it. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. Look at art on a universal spectrum, not just the house next door. You know?
Well, one of the, just playing off of that, one of the coolest things that I get to do just as a coach in the studio is when we're done with a class, and it's, you know, we're usually wrapping up 11:30 or sometimes 12 or whatever. And we're done with the class, and sometimes a couple of students will hang back, and they just want kind of like, you know, they're hanging back. They just want a little personal time, you know. And I'm wrapping things up, and a conversation will start, and we'll get into kind of this a little bit of the profundity where they'll like start asking me personal questions, and you know, and they just share the wisdom kind of thing, you know. And I really enjoy that, you know, just being able to, because like I'm in my third act, right? I've been around, you know, and I've picked up some things and I've gathered some knowledge. And what the interesting thing happened just a few nights ago, and one of my guys was like asking me, he's just wanting to know, you know, he's like, I want to know. And if I see that, I'm going to feed that.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And it opened up about like, what's one thing that you would say with the wisdom that you have and whatnot. I said, you know, look, I've been around. I've been an instructor my entire adult life. I've got, you pick up wisdom, you know, and I'd say probably if somebody were to ask me to share, what would I say the number one most difficult thing for me to not understand in life that I haven't been able to really figure out that is instrumental actually comes from the lyrics of a song by Kenny Rogers.
What?
You
Was not
gotta
expecting
know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to run, and know when to walk. You know, the timing of knowing when do you stay, when do you go, who do you hang with, who don't you hang with. I think when you can really hone in on getting that, knowing who to say yes to, knowing who to say no to, knowing when it's been long enough, knowing when you really should hang in there, that to me is key.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And that self-trust that one can build with themselves with that, to be able to guide that. And it gets easier and easier and easier when you're constantly practicing that.
So what you're saying is that you just, if you're getting that bad vibe, just
Absolutely.
no matter what they're dangling in front of you.
Yeah, and of course at the same time, making your own assumptions and stories off of something that could be so-called bad, you know, isn't necessarily all the time. Always assume the best, but you can always tell by how someone is speaking about people when they're not around, and how they're treating other people, especially people they consider to be lesser than, or if they see people at all ever as lesser than. I mean, there's just so many key components you pick up on, and a lot of people ignore because of a title, or they ignore because of, you know, blinded by their bling or something. And so
yeah, well, with actors too, especially because actors, the desire for the audition, the desire for the work, and then things will come and it'd be like compromising, and you know, sometimes they come to me, you know, Coach, I don't know if I should do this, you know, and I'm like, well, you know, what's your heart telling you, you know?
Right.
But you don't understand, this is a really big opportunity, and it's like trying to stop a freight train.
Right.
Because it's, you know, it's like they already made the decision. Their conscience is just bugging them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The more you get to just know those balances, because some opportunities you could pass by because you were scared of letting someone else down, and that was the check in your heart, you know, because it's someone else's standards that weren't your own, that were just taught to you. There's so many factors. It's staying true to your own core.
Share with us a time that didn't go so well.
Didn't go so well?
A choice that wasn't made correctly.
Oh my gosh. The first thing that just popped into my mind, honestly, was high school. High school. I was huge into drama in the theater department. My whole life, I was obsessed, just the acting and the theater and films. And I started getting a lot of leading roles handed to me. And the acting teacher at the time said to me, you know, I really believe that you have a chance to go on scholarship over to Sac State with your acting abilities. And during that time, I was young and very impressionable. I was cast in a leading role in a play that they were doing, The Odd Couple, except female version.
Oh.
And I was Olive, either Olive or Florence, one of the lead, you know, instead of Oscar and Felix.
Got it.
Olive and Florence. And after the second or third rehearsal, there were some curse words thrown into that script. And they weren't anything major. But during the time, I was very strict with Christianity. And that was due to some outward influences of different people that were saying different things. And, you know, you're that young, you're impressionable. And I literally dropped out of the production after some time. And I'll never forget the look on his face when he sat across from me and I dropped out of drama. And he just looks at me and he goes, okay, well, I'm not going to fight you on this, but I'm just very, very sad and disappointed for you. and that was like, and then I never got back into it again until many, many years later when I met you.
Was it a wrong choice or was it a right choice?
I believe it was the wrong choice. But it's okay. But I can't say it was wrong because I am who I am today, and all of those choices led to who I am. And so I don't regret any of that. But looking back, I can see how I was influenced. The people that were placed in authority over me at the time, the people that were placed in authority over me at the time were leading with fear rather than wisdom. And
we just blew a bulb.
I was wondering, I figured, but is it still rolling?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Well, sometimes they look better in the dark.
No.
So
it's just
depends on the makeup.
It's a halo light.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you, Lori. Lori's got us all fixed up over there. We're good.
Yeah. But just thinking back of the whole concept of being able to go to college on scholarship, doing something that was the love of my life with acting, and just kind of throwing that all out because I was so scared that God would be disappointed with me. Yeah. So there's one.
Okay. How about a decision that went great?
It's hard for me to think of just one, honestly. I feel that I live in a current that is just made up of good decision after good decision after good decision. And it's kind of, I guess you could call attitude of gratitude. So it's hard for me to just think and choose just one. I'd have to spend a long time because the way that I feel about it, sitting right here is a really great decision. And coming to Los Angeles this week with the person I care about is a great decision. Moving to Vegas to learn everything that I'm learning right now. So it trickles. And hopefully I'll be making some really good decisions after the interview. So,
something that's interesting about you that I've learned about you over the years is that while you're doing it, because I do consider you a really top-notch musician, while you're doing it and you've been making a living at it for years, you're still such a student. You're always open to learning.
I'm not dead.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a big deal. But there's a lot of people who don't. They fill themselves up with their own knowledge, and then they cut off the student. For me, I have to constantly throw myself into environments where I'm learning new things, and I'm not the guy in charge.
Yeah.
And because I got to know what it feels like. Like even when I was sitting with the blues fellow, he was so knowledgeable. I felt like I was listening. I felt like I was somebody who listens to me talk about acting in the entertainment industry because I was just like, oh my God, this guy's blowing me away with all this knowledge about musicians. I don't know anywhere near what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And I just sat there being the student, and learning, and it helps me to understand more how to teach.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Being a student, learning how to listen, which, by the way, you changed my life with your teaching when it came to how to listen. That changed my life because the act of listening, and what you had said was pretend there's a download bar underneath the person, and usually when it gets to about 60% or 40%, 60%, you're already thinking about your reply that you missed the rest of the download. Well, me training my mind to get to the rest of the 100% download made me realize that people actually do surprise me. Life can surprise me again. How boring would it be to be a person who feels like you have it all figured out and have everything under control for whatever reason? That's only half alive. And I think I am so in love with the fact that this could be my one and only shot of breathing and being on this planet in this form that I want to cling on to any moment possible. And listening is a way to do that, absolutely. And remaining a student, absolutely. I would hope that everyone would be able to open themselves up to doing that. Because when you think, oh, it's my way or the highway, what a boring existence. How boring, half-hearted. You're a zombie at that point.
It's difficult also to be around people like that.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. They just put the kibosh on any creative flow or any learning from one another.
I like that you brought that up. I often discuss mortality, and it's like people don't want to talk about it, you know, and it's the only one thing guaranteed for all of us. They don't, no, people generally don't want to talk about it because it's like it's supposed to be a downer, but it doesn't have to be a downer.
Not at all.
But, and when you stop to think, especially like, you know, things in the news, and I mean, it's like you can barely turn the news on anymore without hearing about so many instant catastrophes at all ages.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like it's just the world we're in.
Yeah.
And not to be living your life to the fullest because you're waiting for for it to happen, and then it doesn't happen.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's like not good.
Yeah. No, I don't. I think I don't mind discussing those types of things because I think if you don't want to, there's a fear that's involved. And that, in my opinion, I guess is another form of trying to control something that's uncontrollable. And if you're kind of like, oh, I'm scared, I don't want to discuss this subject, or I don't want to deal with this, it's because it's something beyond your control and you can't quite, you know, deal with it. So that in itself is kind of a setback, in my opinion. So I don't know. I think everyone should talk about it more.
So, what frightens you?
What frightens me?
Yeah.
Good question. My own laziness and overcoming that, but I wouldn't say it frightens me, it frustrates me when I feel like I could be doing better with my time, or wasting time, I guess, might be pretty frightening.
Like what? What would be considered a waste of time? Binging 15 episodes of something?
Depends on what it is.
Oh,
No,
okay.
because that's life lessons too. Like, don't cook meth out in the desert with your teacher. No, but I guess
Breaking Bad reference for those of you watching.
I think wasting time would be doing anything that is an escape from what you feel you should be taking care of.
That's good.
Yeah, whether it be short-term and long-term. So.
Yeah, when I'm doing empowerment coaching, which is almost always, I say to my students, if it's not advancing the story, then it's off point. So when you have, first you need a vision. I mean, if you have the vision for your life, then it's tough for anything to happen. Because there's power in seeing where you want to go and what you want to do, who you want to become. Having goals that facilitate you towards that vision, and then seeing that the things that you do are contributing to moving that forward. In the same sense as a writer, when the writer is creating a world, because in the world of storytelling, the writer truly does play the role of God. They're creating the world, they're creating everything in the world, they're creating the people and the characters that are in that world as well. And then they're creating how they're going to interact with each other and what the outcome's going to be.
Yeah.
So actually it's kind of an off God, because I don't know that God controls all the outcome, but when you're writing, because you've only got so many pages for whatever you're writing for, whether it be a 30-second commercial or you're doing, you know, a 2+ hour, you know, full-length feature, you only have that much time to be able to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And a great story is going to be filled through the whole thing. Not so good stories tend to veer off, and it's like they get the storylines get diluted, and it's like, what's that doing? Where's that going? What's that feeding?
Let's put in another montage.
Because it's fun. But when you are contributing towards the goal, and I say to my actors or wherever I'm teaching, if you do get off on an off ramp, okay, you're off on an off ramp.
Yeah.
Just don't park it.
Right?
You know?
Explore that off ramp.
You know, explore, use the bathroom, get back on.
Have you ever seen that kind of wildflower before?
Right.
I haven't. This was great.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
I agree.
What would you like us to know about you?
That I'm an open book with nothing to hide, so anytime anyone wants to ask anything, I'll tell you whatever you want to know about me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's it. Because there's nothing I want to voluntarily tell, but there's nothing I want to hold back either.
So what's your favorite song?
My favorite song, one that I keep coming back to for years and years and years, Spring Can Really Hang You Up the Most.
That's the name of the song?
Yeah.
By who?
It's been sung by many people, but I first heard it, Bette Midler.
You know who wrote it?
No.
How's it go? Spring
each year has trees and flowers flowers and I'd like to offer you a toast. Like it's all over the place. And it's actually, I think you'd love it because you never know where it's going to take you. You have to actually just allow it to take you because it's so unpredictable. It's one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard in my life, lyrically and everything. It's just about walking in the park and how a loss of something, but you know, spring can really hang you up. It's a loss of love during the most beautiful time of year, type of thing. Yeah, oh, you'd love it. But I would have to say that one.
Do you know what era it came from?
Maybe the 40s or the 50s. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. There's no song like it. And when I'm alone, and no matter what situation, it just keeps coming back for the last, I don't know, however many years. The first time I heard it, I was maybe 9 years old. So it seems to be a soundtrack that keeps floating under me whenever I don't know what else to do.
Do you cover it? Do you do it ever?
No.
Yeah? Okay.
No.
I guess it would
I don't want to turn it into that, I think. I think I don't want to wrap my mind so much around it and figure it all out that it would take that away from me. That's my own personal jewel. I give everyone everything all the time with their music. That's mine. So,
I love it. Well, thank you for sharing it with us here on the Performance Zone.
Go listen to it.
So we're at that point.
Yeah, the ending point.
We're having to land this bird.
All right.
Yeah, we're going to find
the gears coming down.
The closing notes. So, what I would like to do before we actually finish up is ask if you were going to send out an Instagram picture and a message, and this one particular Instagram shout out will be seen by everyone on the planet, what would that shout out be?
Interesting. I would almost, the first thing that comes to my mind is just the very center of the eyeball.
That's the picture.
That's the picture. It's just nothing but the eye.
The iris.
The iris, yeah. And just the message of you're not alone and be free, you know. Use it while you have, but just basically letting everyone know. I think everyone feels so isolated in so many things, but it's that lie of complete isolation that keeps people from, you know, really connecting, and things that you don't know. There's room for interpretation and fear. And if people would realize that we are way more connected and here in this together than anything, then I would hope that it would get them over their own fears, you know, toward themselves and toward other people, and guide it into a big ship into a better direction, slowly.
And hashtag?
Hashtag?
What?
Krista Meadows Music.
Oh, okay. And we get that right in there. Beautiful. So, Krista, if somebody wants to hear your music or find out a little bit more about you, how can they do that?
Anytime you type in anywhere, Krista Meadows Music, you will find me. And but I am now going through a lot of distributions. So you can find me on Spotify, CD Baby, iTunes, like all these different places now. And I'm starting to release one single at a time every other month or so until I can build up to releasing a full-length album.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So that's type it anywhere, you'll find me.
Kristame.
Meadows.
ADOWS.
Like frolicking.
Music.
In the meadows.
Krista, this has been great.
Thank you so much.
Thank
it's
you for
an
coming
honor
on
that
at
you would
last
even
moment.
want. No, it's an honor, absolute honor. You've changed my life personally, and I know that you helped so many lives. And the fact that you would find me interesting enough to sit here with you and have a conversation.
I don't think I'm the only one finding you interesting right now.
It's an honor.
Fantastic. So great, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Again, Krista Meadows Music. To find out a little bit more about Krista, again, this show is sponsored by Claybank Studio and claybankstudio.com. Your all-purpose studio for your creative endeavors, especially on-camera performing. So I'm Clay Banks. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.